Hi creatives! Brand strategy is a great way to add more value as a designer, but it's also a great way to charge more for your design services. But what should you actually include in your brand strategy? Hi, I'm Malin. I worked as a brand designer and strategist for about 8 years now. And today I'm going to share the 5 different things that I always include in my brand strategy projects. And if you watch all the way to the end, I'm also going to share 5 of my favorite tools and websites that make brand strategy a lot easier. The very first thing I like to include is understanding their past and their future goals. As much as we might think, or our clients might think, that they have full control over their own brand, a brand is basically what people think about your company. So we want to start off by understanding what perception people have. So do they see us as a low budget option? Is it something that is a high-end product, maybe focused on sustainability or mission? Is it something that has a very unique standpoint? What is it that people have picked up on the brand? We also want to understand our clients' goals so we know where they really want to get to. And then our jobs as designers and strategists is to see, okay, well, this is the current perception and this is where they want to get to. And we want to bridge that gap using things like messaging, marketing campaigns, visual identities, and just making sure that we're communicating all these things that are not currently being understood by the community at large. Having a clear goal like this, where we're going from one thing to another, is super helpful when we're creating our brand because we have such really clear paths. And we have actually things that we can measure to see if the project is successful. That's why I like to include this first before we do anything else. The next thing we want to look at is the emotional reason that someone would like to buy. It's really easy to get bogged down in demographics like women in their 20s or stay-at-home dads, for example. And although that of course offers some information, we really want to understand the emotional reason that someone would buy. In general, I think there are a couple different reasons that someone might buy, and these different ones can also be combined, so people have more than one reason to choose a specific brand. The first one is very practical, and this is that it fulfills a certain function that other brands are not. So let's say, for example, that you're looking for a shower and the brand that you're working with, they are just the most energy efficient. That might be something that is a very functional reason that the customer would buy. The second reason is identity. When we buy something and we maybe wear it or bring it around with ourselves day to day, it will tell us something about how we feel about ourselves, how we think other people are going to see us, and how we feel using or wearing that item. So let's say, for example, that you would buy a really colorful printed dress that makes you feel really creative and really happy, and that will translate to other people seeing you as a very creative person. That is something that might influence your actual choice of buying that dress. So we want to have a think about the emotional reasons that someone is buying and how they think that that will help form their identity towards themselves, but also towards other people. And the third one is habit. So many of us use the same bank that our parents started us with, or maybe we eat the same cereal that we grew up with. And this is a really strong type of connection and brand loyalty. So if you are a more established brand and you have very loyal customers, you might want to think about that in your brand strategy so that you're not losing those people. And that balance between innovating and sticking with the things that are more nostalgic and more trusted. Like I mentioned, these can also be combined. So let's say, for example, you live in the city center, but you're buying a Fjällräven hiking jacket. And the reasons for that might be 1, you really like the sustainable materials, 2, it makes you feel more active, and maybe 3, you like that other people can see that you can afford a high quality item. So that's an example of the different things can overlap. When we truly understand all these emotional reasons why someone buys from that company, we can make sure that we tailor everything from the visual identity to messaging and campaigns to make sure that we are leaning into the things that work and then also pushing the things that maybe the brand wants to go into that they haven't yet. Number 3 is to pinpoint their unfair advantage. So every company has something that is a little bit of an unfair advantage. So if you're a really big company, you might have lots of established partnerships, you might have a lot of trust built up with your brand. But if you're a new company, maybe you can be a lot more agile, you can do a lot more innovation and make decisions and try things faster. So every company has something that can be a little bit unique about them that can help you build a really strong brand. What makes a company special is usually linked to their mission and their team. So I think it's really important to be be able to talk to the founders or the people who are making decisions in the company, but I also think it's a really good idea to also go and interview employees at the company, go and talk to partners. How do they perceive working with this company? And you can also talk to customers, of course, which is super helpful to do interviews and to discuss the things that they talk about when they talk about the brand. So how do they perceive it? Why do they buy from them? What are things they would like to see improved? So we can build this more dynamic image of the brand and see how different people and different stakeholders perceive the brand. Number 4 is looking at competitors and how they have addressed the same questions. So of course we can't do brand strategy without looking at competitors, and there are so many different ways to do this. Basically, every company has competitors. I know a lot of times you come into client meetings and they say, well, this, what we're doing is completely unique. And that might be true, but there's always people who do things that are similar. So it could be a replacement for it or something that you do that is quite similar. So let's say, for example, you're working with a company that has invented a new technology for green energy. No one might be doing the exact same technology, but there are other companies that do maybe wind or solar or wave energy, or maybe even looking at, more traditional like oil and gas, because people, when they're choosing electricity, they might not just be choosing between those renewable options. So we have to see the whole picture and what the different options on the market are, and the reasons for choosing this company that you're working with compared to all the other options. Now that we understand how people already see the brand, the company's goals, and the competitive landscape, we want to translate this into something actionable that can actually be implemented across websites, social media presences, products, anything that they need, so that your client can really use the brand strategy to their advantage. It can be everything from a new company or product name, tagline, messaging strategy, visual identity, social media posts, or even if you need to get a new message out there, a marketing campaign, for example. So because these are a lot of different expertises and a lot of different things to cover, I think it's always a good idea to team up with experts in each field. So for example, we usually team up with a copywriter, a marketer, and a developer, and this way we can focus on the visual identity. And we can also learn so much from their processes and how they're doing research, what they're bringing to the table in terms of experience and new perspectives. So that is something I really recommend to team up with other creatives. Now on to my absolute favorite tools and websites to make brand strategy easier. The first one is called Think with Google. So Google has quite a few really interesting tools that you might not have heard of. For example, you can add in the URL of your online store and answer a couple questions, and Google will then let you know of different opportunities. You can also use their tools to find your audience, and of course Google Trends, which can be really helpful for understanding your different personas and what they value, and different trends that your company could use for marketing campaigns. The next one is called Make My Persona, and this is a free tool from HubSpot that asks you questions about the persona so that you can build it out question by question. I think this is a great resource if you're unsure where to start, and you could even ask your clients to fill this in and share it with you as a kind of kickoff point. Then we have Answer the Public, and this is a keyword tool where you can add your own keywords and it will show you questions that people are searching for. This can be really good to both find long tail keywords, but also just to understand what customers actually care about. Then we have Statista, and this is a great place to find trends and data on how people from different age groups, areas of a country, or income brackets actually behave. We can see real data, and that helps us understand opportunities that our clients and even their competitors might have missed. And lastly, we have a site called Brand Mentions. This is a website where you can add in a keyword like a product that your client sells, and it will compile posts from social media, news, and websites so you can understand how people are talking about that product online. If your client is a big brand, you can even add their name or the exact product name, but if you work with a smaller brand, you might want to go with the product category, like summer drinks if you're working with a cafe, for example. If you thought that was interesting, I would really recommend this video on brand research because brand strategy and research go hand in hand. Thank you so much for watching, good luck with your projects, and see you next time.